let's start with basic introductions. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and describe the sound of soul that moves you most.
All right, Wax. Danny Gascon, of course. I go by the name LownSoul Sounds. I was born, raised East LA. I'm going to tell you, everything that I know came from my parents. Probably when I was 9 months in her stomach, my mother, Ernestina Garcia. That's all I remember is being put down, all the doo-wop, all the rare shit, doo-wop stuff like that. I mean, until this day, I'm gonna tell you something. I could remember a song, but I gotta, how can I say, I gotta read it out and read it out and keep on typing it in until I get right, the right words in the computer
Mhm.
to give me a group.
Yeah.
So it's like I born and raised in East LA. She's been a blessing. I live down the street from Sounds of Music.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
not only that, my mom gave me in the doo wop. I had my aunt. She got me into the rock, which I'm a Black Sabbath fan.
Really?
Um, my aunt got me into the rock. My uncle got me into the big bands. My uncle Ruben Garcia. He got me into like War, Maze, Earth, Wind, all those big bands. You
Mm.
know, my aunt Frances, she got me into just the basics, and then of course I'm learning at the same time. So I got a lot of history growing up with music, like you're
Yeah.
talking about the backyard bolos. I did those before, but I did those at just backyard bolos, just bolos. Now that there's a soul scene, I'm in the soul scene. I said, let's come up with it. So that's when I started. And
Okay.
it was a rough one growing up trying to collect because my first collection was my mom's,
Okay.
and she had so
Let me
many.
ask you this question real quick. Talk to me about where the name Low and Soul Sounds comes from.
Low and Soul Sounds comes from, I always was in a car. I always wanted my own Impala and this and that. I drove in a few with friends, this and that. And as the soul scene, I started getting the soul scene. I'm like, man, everybody has a name. Everybody has a name. And I just know when I'm driving in any car, I'm just fucking, oh, excuse the language, but
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm feeling it, with the music, the drive. And I said, low and soul sounds, but I said, I had to put that in the middle. And after that, I just kept on, kept on, kept on. And it just got recognized, you know? I
Okay.
mean, I'm not recognized nationwide, but I'm the type that if I'm going to start something, I got to continue. I can't let it fall. And
No,
that's why I do shirts. If they sell, they sell. They don't, I don't mind testing waters.
I'm gonna get a shirt from you, and I want to say,
I'll
man,
send
you
you one.
you are definitely known without a question.
I
Your
appreciate it.
your your name rings bells when I think of collectors that I point to as a North Star.
Mhm.
Your name is top of mind always. Um, so let's start at the beginning. Do you remember the very first Soul 45 that made you think this is what I want to spend my life chasing? What was it
Uh,
about that record that hooked you?
you know what? It had to be Jackie and the Starlights, Valerie. Um, I remember that song being played over and over, and like my dad was from El Loyo. He was a gangster,
Okay.
in and out of prison, and it just that I call them drive-by oldies, because they're so tough. You got Jackie Starlights, you got the Chance, you got a bunch of doo-wop groups.
Yeah.
And it just you just how I feel it. It's just like the rare soul. Oh my goodness, the rare soul. Just there's so many, like you said, can I pick? I cannot choose. I cannot choose because I've been through every stage and
Mhm.
it's a blessing,
Yeah.
that I could share.
When you talk about the stages, when did it become serious? Like when was this something that you really started doing in terms of the not just listening, but collecting, going after the records. I'm kind of curious about the upbringing and kind of the core principles that we know today when it comes to OVO. But talk to me about when you first started collecting. When was it real?
Well, number one, I've been collecting since I was a kid. I've been going to Sounds of Music since I was since 1973. So I always pick something up, but I didn't consider myself as a collector until I met Mike Noriega. Mike
Really?
Nor- Mike Noriega says, "How long have you been?" I said, "Well, all my life. I mean, I got my mom's on the way up and buying my own stuff." He goes, "Dude, if you're had vinyl back then and you're collecting, you're a collector." But I was seeing myself as a collector joining in the rare soul scene,
Right.
And he says, "No, you're a collector." So I say, I try not to, if I am, I am. I appreciate what Mike said.
Yeah.
But I I like to give credit out there more than credit on my behalf. I
Yeah.
like giving.
Yeah.
And yes, Mike and George, they put me in the scene, really.
Define collector for me. What does it mean to be a soul record collector?
Oh my goodness, it's the passion for it, the passion that you got for your ear, your mind, your soul, I mean, just to find what especially what I heard back then with the doo-wop stuff with my mom, trying to track that down, this and that. It's like a blessing. I was fed with doo-wop soul, and shit, it's exciting. It's exciting. And I gave some good advice to a couple of youngsters. They're trying to get in there, and I told them it's a rough one, man. It's money. It's
Yeah.
money. I told them start off with the basic Motown and stuff like that, and just little by little.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's really interesting because I got into soul, we can call it lost soul, rare soul. I really want to hijack the name that you said, drive by soul. That is you got to trademark that. You got to trademark that and put it on a t-shirt. But that's
but
a whole
yeah.
other story. Like you've known about these records for so long, right? There's nothing new. But for me, I start in 2020 and I'm like, whoa, there is a whole world out there that I knew nothing about. I always talk about the night that I learned about I Cried by the Jamels on Igloo.
Oh my goodness.
But I discovered that in like 2020. You've known about that
Yeah.
record for like 25, 30
Well,
years.
there's
How
there's
does
a
it
there's a lot that there's a big difference from I see. I started up buying a lot of CDs because I have my collection stolen prior in Azusa, and I had it in storage. So I had to start, and I didn't have really rare, what you could call rare. I had all my basic soul, this and that, and my albums, original Ralphie, Joe, brand new.
Yeah,
But how can I say, I started more, like I said, the peak of I found out about the Southern Soul Spinners when they were performing, and George was in the Soul Spinners back then.
yeah,
And that's when everything just started, focus. I started focusing on it and started learning new sound, new horns, new guitar. And it was just a blessing. And then after that, met Mike, and he introduced me to another whole different side. I mean, and then after that, I started just doing research on my own, which I really don't, because I have a kind of I'm gonna say a lazy mind. It's I just, all right, boom, 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 and like, let me just go on Discogs, and fucking just buy it. But yeah, I give it up to them. They introduced me to a lot, and I just kept on, like, I guess, just like typing in names and see what else they got. I
right.
know one thing I have a problem with is I'm not flipping the 45. I sometimes I don't. George says, "Dude, flip the 45," because he'll play something. I say, "Hey man, I like that." He goes, "You got it. You just never flipped it."
It's hilarious.
So
There are records though that I have. I've never turned it over to the other side.
yeah, I get
I don't
stuck in.
need to. That's not what I got it for.
Yeah, like there's so much music that I could have had, but my ear was somewhere else, and I had to get that. Now that I want it, the price is so high, you know.
Oh, I
But
feel
I bought, I sold, I had so many doubles. I Jesus Christ, it was crazy. I mean, I was getting the doubles like candy, and it was that good back then. But now it's cutthroat, you know,
Mhm.
it's cutthroat with these 45s.
California has always had its own soul collecting culture. What was it like digging for records in the 80s, 90s? Were there certain shops, swap meets, or collectors that helped you shape your journey?
Well, you know what? Back then, like I said, I've been going to the Sounds of Music since '73.
Yeah.
It was interesting because there was another record store in the late '70s called, I think it's American Records. It was in
Okay.
Broadway, and that's a girl I was going to school with, which they called her Boo Boo. I was telling her about Sounds of Music, and she told me, "Oh no, there's this one over here that has rare stuff."
Okay.
So I'm like, "Give me the address." So right after school, I jumped on the bus, headed to LA, and that's when I met Mario. Mario used to work for Sounds of Music back then,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, that's when it didn't surface right there, but I was grabbing, as the '80s were ending. That's when the soul scene to me started picking up more and more because all these rare CDs started coming, and that's what started motivating people to get in the scene. I didn't get really into the scene until maybe I want to say the '20s, in the '20s.
Mhm.
I had my own personal stuff, but I wasn't trying to. I didn't know nothing about the soul scene. In other words, that there was a soul spinners, this and that. That's what I was looking for. All I knew that I had to do my own thing. Every time us guys barbecued and this and that, but I was the man they came to for the music. Always. I mean, I was 9 years old, 10. I got offered to do this DJ gig. I had no equipment. They loved my music the way I played it. I got two of my mom's turntables with the A track. I had four speakers, two on each side, spliced in all together, and that's how I got sound to mix. I spliced all the wires through. It was crazy. I made it happen. In other words, so I got promised a system because they loved me. I never got it. I never got it. But that's how much I always messed with stereos back then. I need to hear my music. I need to hear my music. Period. So yeah, like I said, the CDs came around in the '90s. I mean, you had everybody come out. You had from Sal, La Soul, everybody came, started doing CD. But you had your little underground. You had homeboys from Bassett doing Night Out, doing his CDs.
Yep.
I had people bring me CDs. I was kicking back in the yard, just drinking, sample this, and that's how I started sampling music too off CDs. I said, "Oh shit, I got to go get this." You know what I mean? I got to
Yeah.
go get this. So, yeah, so I noticed a lot of people, I turned on a lot of people to collecting the CDs, and that's all they did. But I had to get what was on there that I didn't know, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. I think the
Wow.
'90s, that's to me, that's where, mid '90s, that's where it started opening up more of the soul scene, you
Okay.
know? Because everything back then under there, it was just private parties, private gatherings, you know what I mean? That at least
Wow.
I did. I know I did, you
Yeah.
know?
Let me ask you this question because I got stuck on it. And I think that it's really important that we talk about this. You talked about how people liked the way you played the music. How would you describe that feeling of playing the music? Like, I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, you're just playing records." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no.
Um,
This is way more than putting a 7-inch on a deck and putting the needle on it. To me, there's an art. And I've always said that the collectors that I've observed, they're telling a story with their hands. And
yeah.
when they're playing it, it's the tip of the iceberg. So can you talk to me about how you might put together a set or what's important? Like when I think about your name, that's like brand recognition. And along with that, there's a certain style that you have put together. You've honed this skill set so that when somebody's walking down the street, they can say, "Oh, that's LownSoul Sounds." And I know that after time, when people come to see you play, there's an expectation that they're going to hear something, they're going to feel something. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you've kind of carved out your own niche, if you will, with that?
Yeah, you know what, but you mentioned that's crazy because we're mentioning this a while back with a couple of friends of mine, and they asked me how off tune were you at any event, this and that. I said, there was only one time I got behind the turntables, and I didn't know what I was doing. It's just I didn't feel it. I said, you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it because I mean, you just got to feel it from your heart, man. And I'm telling you, it's you cannot play some sweet soul and then go directly up tempo. You cannot. You got to keep that passion going, that passion because I mean, I'm telling you, I had so many comments. They liked the way I laid it out. It just even what I did Santana. I had to start off. I don't forget where I come from. I had to start off with the doo wop, then go with the basic oldies, and then the rare soul. And I mean, I had homeboy. I think he lives somewhere up east, and he hit me up. He says, "Man, I can't stop watching that. That was a good one because you started from the beginning and you ended what was going on now." And I said, "That's me. I can't forget where I come from." You know. So
Yeah.
it's honestly it's like I just it's a gift. I guess it's a gift to me because I could get down on the turntables right now, and once I play that next one, I'll just be scoping out 45 to see which one's gonna go up, which one is the one, and I just, I just feel it. It just flows after, I have no recipe for it or anything like that. It just within me, just how it happens, you know.
Outside Soul talked about this. Renee, when we talked to him years back, I asked him, "Is there a certain like set that you're putting together before you even get there? Like, how are you?" And he goes, "No." He goes, I think he was saying what you were, which is it is the
Yeah,
feeling. And I've thought about it sometimes because if you are not the first person, or maybe you're in the middle of the mix, how do you grab the crowd's attention? And I
yeah.
always think, is it a big record that we play first and then we kind of slow it down and work our way up? Are there certain points throughout the set, or we're dropping bombs to kind of keep people locked in and loaded? What would
Yeah.
that be for you?
You know what? Honestly, it's if I'm like the third one spinning, I I I check out everybody who's spinning. Number one, and then I see the crowd how they react to what they're playing. So
Mm,
that's what gives me a feel like, oh shit, okay, let me put this up. I see they want to dance a little bit more, so a little bit more up tempo, this and that. If I see they're loving the drive by freaking rolas, then I'm gonna continue with some, heavier ones that I got, because everybody has heat. Everybody has heat, they just gotta everybody has a different flavor, you
mm,
know.
yeah.
Everyone has a different style, like I said, there's so much that I wanted to get, but my ear was saying buy this instead, and yes, it was all good, this and that, but now I want to change. I want to change up my sound. Maybe go a little bit more up tempo for a while, and this and that, and give
Yeah.
the drive by a rest a little. I got to test the waters all the time.
I
Got
like
to
that.
test the waters.
You said something that was really important, and I want to highlight this because I think it's important for new collectors to understand this. Nowadays, if you are someone who's getting into the rare soul music, the first thing you're likely going to see, maybe it's the compilations that are on YouTube. Then you're going to bring Gangster Soul Harmony on an LP into your home. And we're lucky and fortunate to see all these big records up top. But you talked about this idea of not necessarily chasing what everyone else is doing or going for the tips of the icebergs, which are the big records that we all know about, but you were going after what you felt. And I've
Yeah,
always said, I don't want to recreate someone else's collection or someone's set. I'm not saying that nobody has the records that are in my collection or vice versa, but there's something about really being true. And I think it might be part of the journey, but you're going after what you feel, not necessarily what the masses are going after. That is so important. Is there a certain memory you have of kind of, you know what, I see what everybody else is doing, but this is now truly what moves me? Because I also think when we start this, we don't know what we're looking for at first. And it kind of takes time, maybe trial and error to say, you know what, I love these ones. But these ones right here, the way they start with the drum progressions, or maybe that dramatic soul with the strings. Ah, this is my sound that I love. Now I really know what to listen for and look for. Talk to me a bit about that, because I believe that's probably what, again, goes back to the brand recognition of LownSoul Sounds. But
yeah.
you're coming of almost age and maturity as a collector, where you're like, ah, this is what moves me. What's that sound for you? What is it that moves you? If you had to describe the perfect soul cut, the record that's in your collection that's always in the box, what does it sound like?
Sounds like gee, the decisions color me blue. That song is just so. And hey, I'll tell you this much: I never had it in my box. I never had it in my box. I never decisions. They got this unique style, and it's like it's. I love drums. Number one. I love drums. I remember somebody says, "No, dude, it's about the bass." I said, "No, I love drums."
Mm-hmm.
And the decisions, they know how to clash with those sticks and create soul with them.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember years ago, a friend told me, he goes, "Why do you like oldies? They're so duh, duh, duh." And I said, "No, they're not. You got to listen to some, you got to listen. There's some drums. There's some drums in there. There's some guitars in there. There's some little bit of everything in there. You just can't, just because you heard Angel Baby, come on now. There's other soul out there,
Yeah.
but it's that's what gets me going. You know what? If I had the decisions, I would blast that on a first song during an event, because that's my way of getting everybody going.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, that's yeah. And then after that, I will continue it, and then after come down, drive it down on the low gear, and or either way, I could do vice versa. It doesn't matter. Just it's how what you present after that. You got to get something to come back at it, not something odd.
Yeah.
You got to get that signature, continue that signature and that sound. You
Yeah.
know,
What
so
about vocalist? Is there a, like, when I think about soul, for me, what really gets me is those soaring falsettos. And then when you don't expect it, the harmony kicks in. And at this
mm.
point, Danny, my feet are off the ground. I've got goosebumps. Is there a certain style of singing or maybe a certain group that you're like, right here, that's it?
You know what? Not really. As long as they can sing a song, I mean, um, no, because like I said, everybody has their own signature, their own voice. The groups have their own signature. Doesn't matter if you're from the East Coast, LA, wherever. It's how your voice is your signature and your with your band.
Mm,
I that's the way I see it. It's like me pulling somebody out of the decisions and putting them with the temp. That's not going to go. Everybody has their own, and that's the way I love it. I love it because it's like I said, I cannot pick one, I cannot pick two, because I love everything in a different way,
right,
you
right.
know.
Yeah.
there's so much to hear up, and there's so much I'm still learning. And I appreciate everybody that posts this stuff. I mean, I'm still learning, to be honest.
Always a student.
And
Always
that's
a
a good
student.
thing. That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Mm, man, you are kicking so much knowledge. This is crazy. What about time frame? Like I always say, if somebody asks me what records I like, I say, you know what, 69 to 73, maybe 74. Those are the years for me that I'm really focused on more so than prior to 69. I'll go up to the 80s, maybe like 79 if I'm being honest. Not into the 80s, but 79,
Yeah.
78. There are some good ones. For you, is there a set of years that you kind of focus on more so than others?
I would say I would say 65 to 75, but I will go 60 to mid 70s, because you know what? I cannot think of this song, but I remember it played, and I thought it was freaking 60, this and that, 1960. And it was done in 72, 73, and I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that sound just they just ran that sound all the way up to the 70s.
yeah,
And I'm amazed at some of that stuff, you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
at that time, a lot of things changed. Groups
Right.
changed. Groups left other groups because of them, not continuing that sound. You know, it's like it's like war. The original
Yeah.
band members wanted to continue to sound like War, so that's the way they formed Lowrider Band, and Lonnie went his way. So yeah, it just oh yeah, just there's so much from the '60s on up to the mid '70s, and it's incredible, man. Different sounds.
Greg Belson told me one time that as you'd get into the say the mid 70s, it's not like these bands, these groups, they had the latest equipment. And so sometimes that sound, even though it was 75, 78, they were still making it with the equipment, the instruments from mid late 60s, early 70s. And that's
Yeah,
how that sound, I think, it evolved even further. In fact, I think that a lot of what moves us by this music is the charm. The idea that it wasn't this $1 million studio, that they didn't have the best mics. They did the best with what they had at the time. And that charm is something that really can't be replicated. Because if it
yeah.
could be replicated, we would have been hearing it the last 5 years from the modern artists on the scene.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
And that really
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, for the next question, I want to ask every serious collector has that one that got away. Tell us about a record you had in your hands or almost had that still haunts you to this day.
That's an easy one right there. Um, that's the Black Liberations. Many times I cried. I think that was a 70, 72 a year when it was released.
72.
72. I
Yeah.
had that. I found it. It's a rare one. And I had it for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe more. And times got hard for me. And I remember Mike told me, "Hey, you ever going to sell?" And I said, "Oh, collector don't sell." And he goes, "Hey, one of these days, you might lose your job or this and that." I think he jinxed me. But I ended up selling it. And I said, "You know what? I had so much confidence and I felt good that I'll get it back. I'll get it back." And it's been a good few years, and
Mm,
ah, now that's a double sider. I played it for Richard Q, the singer. Oh man, that guy melted. He said, "I gotta have it." I said, "Good luck, good luck." That's all I have to say, man. But
yeah.
yeah, Black Liberations. That's that song. Yeah, I wish I could
Man,
get that one back.
I always say that if there's a record you really want and you see it, you got to find a way to get it because There are records I've waited years to pop. I look on Discogs every day. I have my alert set on eBay. And I think it was earlier this year. There's a record. It was made in Albany, New York, where I grew up, Albany, Schenectady area. And it was by a band or a group called Cathedral. They were a band, but the name was Cathedral. And the song is Too Late to Talk About. And I had seen the record years back. And for whatever reason, it might have been the grade, because I'm particular about grade. I let it go. And it was the worst thing that I could have ever done because every day I was haunted by looking and not seeing
Yeah.
it come up. And it popped in 2026.
Yeah.
When I saw that alert, I jumped on that record so fast. It I don't even think I cared about the grade. I just wanted the record. I wanted it in my box. I wanted to look at the label. The fact that it was from like my home area is what meant so much to me. And even though I have a copy, I'm still looking for another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about that record was I ended up finding the leader of the group.
Oh,
And
wow.
one of the things that he said to me, George knows about the record. This is a known record. I'll send you a link to it afterwards.
All right.
As I'm talking to this guy, he says, whatever you do, he goes, please do not play this on YouTube and do not record it anywhere. He said,
Why is
I have
that?
worked. I get to that. He said, I have worked over the years to have the videos taken off YouTube when I see people posted. And I said, do you know how many people love this music and this record? He's like, he goes, I get it. He goes, the reason that I feel this way is I had wrote the lyrics to the song. I get to the studio and the lead singer comes in and he rewrote all the lyrics. And on
Mm.
top of that, he goes, he didn't have the voice for the song. He was out of key or whatever. He said I was too exasperated at that point to even put up a fight. So we pressed the record and he said I destroyed all of the remaining copies.
Wow.
So he said, whatever's out there is out there. He's like, I know some of the northern people like it, especially for the flip side. It's like Sugar Pie Guy. And I was it literally knocked me out of my chair when he told me that.
Man, I'm
And
getting
there
tears
was
here.
at one point, there was a batch of the records, and I later found out that a record store tried to buy them from him because he knew it was gold. And he's like, people want this. And this gentleman just refused. He did not want the music out there.
Wow.
So there's many records like that, I think, unfortunately. That's why they're scarce, they're low. But I say all that to kind of back up your point. It's like, man, unless you absolutely have to,
Yeah.
don't sell it. And when you do
Yeah.
see it, you might have to eat top ramen for a few weeks, maybe a month, but
Right.
it will be worth it once it's in your collection. Now we're going to kind of flip the script. Um, Tell us about a story behind a record that you're most proud of finding. Where did it come from? How long were you searching for it? And what did that moment feel like when it finally became yours?
That had to be the Solistics, Cotton Eye Joe. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I was looking at it for the longest. You know, there's a few people that were like, Cotton Eye Joe, this and that. And I want Cotton Eye Joe. And when I got Cotton Eye Joe, everybody knew what I was talking about, Cotton Eye Joe. And I had that. I got it for chump change. I mean, I call it chump change because it wasn't over 1,000.
Oh,
Um,
I love that. You're keeping it real, right?
right? That's the way it is.
Seriously.
I think I got it. I'm not sure because I've been lucky on the 600s with some rare stuff. But I had it for a while. Like I said, I had to move out of my house. They were to sell it. I
Okay.
was renting. So I didn't want to go, house to house, this and that. So I had no choice to sell that in a big stack. And I know who has it. I know I messaged them, told them if you're ever gonna get rid of it, that you get back with me.
Okay.
But honestly, I feel I have so much confidence still, that I haven't got back um, Black Liberations, but I still feel this thing that I'm gonna find them. I'm gonna find them, bring them
You
back
gotta
home.
believe. You got it.
Yeah,
How important is grade of a record to you? Because for me, when I started, I'm not going to say that I didn't know the difference between like a VG, a VG plus, VG minus, but grading is subjective.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I got to this point where I said, okay, I'm tired of seeing markers on the labels. I'm tired of hearing the static that's messing up the introduction of this song. I'm going near mint. That is my mark. Now, clearly I have records that aren't near mint because sometimes when you see it, it might be a VG minus, but you're like, ooh, maybe I can grade up if I clean it.
yeah.
Talk to me about grade for you.
Well, at first, when I first started, I mean, yes, everybody wants a stock storeroom cut, but I learned to accept what I can get at the time as long as it sounds decent. If it's because sometimes they could rate it a VG and it's a VG plus.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Hmm.
people don't grade them right.
Yeah.
So I'm the type that I want my near mint, and I had a habit of getting promos all the time. But if I cannot get something minty and there's a VG sounds decent, I'll get it until I get that mint one,
Yeah.
and I'll hold that one for a while. And if I just say George comes, oh shit, you know that's one that got away from me. Well, here, you want it for this much? I can't sell for that much, but I pass it. I try to pass whatever I have within first. You know what I mean? Within our crowd.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it is with Renee, George, Mike. Well, Mike, he's all over. He's all over selling. But I try to keep it within, because I mean, I still got a couple of buddies. Hey, this is what I bought from you a couple of years ago. I'm gonna, do you want it? Do you want it back before I post it? And that's cool.
I love that etiquette. Like we need to talk about that more, and I think we need to keep doing it because there's something to be said about letting these records go.
Yeah,
And my biggest concern, and not that I don't really sell Soul 45s unless I got doubles or triples, but
yeah.
I just love the idea that you're keeping it not just within the community but the family. It is
You
a
know what?
really important thing to keep these records in the States, in my opinion.
I, I
And
I gave so many 45s away. I mean, honestly, $100 45s. I passed them. I just something. You know what? I guess I got more of a heart that, like I said, meeting Mike and George, because I used to go to Mike's, and Mike's not he's not really a girl fan on soul. So I wanted Tony in the Hearts.
yeah,
And he says, "You like that one?" And I said, "Yeah, I want it." And he's like, "Here." So I'm like, you know what? If he could do it, I can do it. A couple times, buddy liked, hey man, oh shit, I don't got the money. I said, here, handle it, take it.
wow,
I don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing. That's one thing. The more you hide, the more it's gonna be taken from you. You gotta pass the torch. That's simple as that.
man, the knowledge you're kicking is crazy right now. I love it. I love it. So I'll tell you this: there was a record that I had heard earlier in the year. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta have this record. Similar to you, first thing I do, I go online. It's not here, and I see this random. It's being sold on Discogs, but they wouldn't ship to the States. So I reach out and I see the picture of the record. Now I'm talking with the guy, Germany private sale kind of thing. I said, I need to hear the audio. He's like, oh, I don't have a turntable. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you're selling a record that costs this much and you can't give me a little audio. So I was like, fine. I think he had misgraded the record because when I saw the look of it, I said, ooh, that's not near mint. I don't say I'm an expert at grading, but I know what near mint looks like. So I passed on it. I reached out to people in my network. I'm like, can anybody get this? and it was crickets. So I said, if I get this record this year, I'm done. I'm not buying anything else. And I
Right.
didn't think I would get the record. So yeah, of course I can say that. 2 months later, my friend says, hey, here it is. Talk to this guy. So I'm like, how did you find it? He goes, oh, So I said, fine. So it was actually Freedom Machine, Stop Doubting My Love. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah.
And it came from Sweden, and the price was killer. The problem was the record was warped.
Ooh,
Like it was dancing. It was dancing. But I
damn.
thought to myself, I know that there's someone out there that can help me flatten this. Because the way the record sounded was near mint and it
Yeah.
looked near mint. So the record comes all the way over from Sweden. I connect with one of my friends and he cooked the record for me and it came back flat.
Oh
So
damn.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he had like it's my brother Wisdom from Seattle. He has like this $1,500 record flattener. There's different like temperature settings,
Yeah.
and I gave it to him. I dropped it off. I said, "Make magic happen," and he made this record damn near flat.
Damn.
So I bring this up because sometimes we have to be a little risky. And yes, it might be a VG minus, maybe it's a VG plus, but there is sometimes the chance where you can level up your records.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes a way to get around paying 500 or 1,000 for a record, you know? Let's see here. You kind of mentioned something about this earlier when somebody was telling you what soul sounded like, and I really want to get your take on this. I think people outside the hobby often think collecting is just buying records. What are they missing though? What skills, patience, detective work go into finding a truly rare Soul 45? And what is it that people don't know about this music that we love so much?
Man, number one, you got to have the ear and you got to have the flav. If you don't have the ear, you can't hear shit. You know,
Mhm.
um, that's one thing. This guy's the Emilio that I know, and he just doesn't really find soul as music. You know, like I mean, like he likes more, I guess, rock. But I told him, have you heard of Slave? I mean, they get down Steve Arrington and they get down. Check out the guitar player. I mean, you got to hear something to will you in
Yeah,
to agree on something. You know what I mean? Because it's not just flat. There's bumping to it. Um, yeah, the soul. It just you just got to have that ear to accept because there's a lot. I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of rare sounds that I really can't get into,
yeah, yeah,
and they're killer, but I just don't like them. I
yeah.
just don't like. I won't buy them. I have that
Mm,
I forgot what song it was, but I think I told Sappy or somebody. I said, you know what? If it was given to me, different story. But I'm not
sure.
going to go out of my way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
That was something that I kind of learned, I want to say maybe around year 2 or 3. I remember looking over the catalog of Nick Aguirre, right? Soulful Things.
Good guy.
I loved it. I do. And I realized something. First thing I realized was after going through his catalog that a majority of the records weren't even available. Two, those that were available, the grade wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Three, you probably needed about $200 to $300 just to get in the door to have the conversation of I want this kind of record.
Yeah.
And I think what I learned from going through a lot of the catalog was that there was a lot that I loved, but there were a lot of big ones that I just didn't catch me the way other records do. And
Yeah.
that was good for me because I was able to make peace and say, you know what? We're not ever going to have the most records. We're not going to have the best records, but we're going to focus on the ones that we love. And sometimes you need to know what you don't like to know what you love.
Hmm.
And I love what you're saying because it's not so much about just chasing the big records that everyone's into or that's obscure, or maybe it was mentioned in a magazine. It's about defining your sound and going and finding those records that you either maybe knew about, didn't know about, but the minute that you heard that sound, you were like, I'm done. That's all I need. Right. And I think that in doing so, part of it is this the hunt,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
looking for like there are times we talked about collectors earlier. Everybody's got heat. Anytime someone's come over to my home to play records, anytime I've been out with them, there's a high probability that we don't have the same records in the same box. I'm always learning from someone else. I'm always like, wow, I've never heard of that record before. And I think I consume this stuff at a high clip, Danny.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I
I
think
hear you.
that in itself is what kind of keeps us going after it. Really?
Because you know what? I could take a stack like this to the event, and they're all cheapies, $20, $30, and I could make it happen. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
don't need the $1,000. I mean, which hey, nice, but it's how you do it. It's just how you do it. Is the flow. That's how you put it together.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing.
Mm.
It's not about the dollar. It's about how you could spin it. You know.
Man, you're incredible, brother. You really are. All right. This is going to be a good one. And I want you to kind of give us a little bit more into what you talked about earlier. Every hobby has a dark side. Have you ever experienced dishonesty, fake records, bidding wars, broken friendships, or moments where collecting stopped being fun? And maybe there's a certain story you want to share, but you mentioned that your collection was stolen. I would
Yeah.
love it if it's okay if you would kind of give us the story on that.
Yeah, yeah, you know what? I mean, I had a bunch of 45s, of course, and albums. I hadn't just picked up a collection, all original Ralphie Bagan and Joe Pantan, not even open. And
Oh,
I got them in Whittier at a used record store. So they're used, so they had to open it up, slide it out, put it back in. So that was part of the collection. And we went, me and yeah, I had storage in Azusa. I went with my kids to go get something in there, and I noticed something was odd in there. I had a bunch of empty crates, but I couldn't picture it. So I said something's missing. So there was a big box pushed to the wall, and back then storage they were drywall back then, and I moved the box and there was a hole. So they wanted to go call security and whatnot. And, she came and they opened up that side and they found syringes. And I said, oh shit, my stuff's gone. It's gone for $5, a little fix.
oh my God.
And they wanted to call the cops and all that stuff. But I had warrants at the time. I'm like, I just got to start over. That's it. And
Wow.
I called up Sounds and Music, North Records, every record store around there. And I told them, hey, if anybody goes and starts selling more or less this stuff, give me a call, man. I never got a call, so it was a loss. They sold it for chump change. Um, I I I started collecting again. I had I had issues. I never had issues in. Yeah, I did have issues. As a matter of fact, damn, I was uh I was 11, 13, somewhere around there. I had a friend. His dad was a veterano, old gangster.
Okay.
And he wanted to blend in with those guys. He wanted to be, with the crowd. Called him gangster. And one day I went to his house and he gave me a freaking big box of 45s. Big box of 45s. And I glanced through them. I just, I never went through them officially, but I glanced and there was some heavy labels that I see now. And man, I had on my house and I was seeing this girl and she's like, oh, we're gonna have a party and this and that. Can you bring some to play? And this, I said, nah, I'm busy. Can I borrow some? No, no, kept on. And I lend them to her. And I never freaking seen them again. Never seen them. And I had bad luck with 45s growing up. Yes, I have. Yeah, a lot of stuff they gave to my mom for me. When she went to go get it, it was taken. Um, yeah, I had a rough one trying to get stuff back, trying to get back on track, especially when they broke into the one in Azusa, you know.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was always positive because shit, I wasn't gonna let that interfere with anything. I mean, if your passion is vinyl, then your passion is vinyl. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not gonna say I ain't gonna, I gotta keep on going. I gotta keep on pushing, you know. And you know what? Be honest, my collection better than ever than what I had back then. So I
Yeah.
do appreciate it because I did have the patience and they did fall on my lap, you know.
Oh, that's
So
always like my it's always my nightmare. I don't ever like to leave my house.
yeah. Well,
And
be honest, nowadays it's getting sketchy out there.
yeah,
You know, the vinyl scene is so out there, and people don't want to pull out their wallet. They rather take somebody else's stuff,
yeah.
and
How did you recover though? Because when I think of just thinking like what if I don't know if I'd be able to come back to it. I mean, I think about the stories behind these records that I've got. I think about where they came from, whose collection they were in before, and then what it meant to me. Right? I mean, it's not like there's a room full of cash that I'm like, here, take it. It's like I worked hard to get these records.
exactly.
How did you keep coming back, man?
You know what? Honestly, I just had to put it aside and just start a different a drive on it. Like I said, I'm gonna switch. I like switching styles, you
Okay.
know, and I think that's what gave me the opportunity to switch over on stuff and this and that, because like I said I had a lot of doo-wop because of my mom, and to get other stuff that I got on my own, I like, I did it, I
Yeah.
got this new sound, this and that. I wasn't passed over to from my mom, my uncle, this and that. That's when I officially say, hey, I'm going somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, just in the sound, but it's a hard one. You just got to keep on and, just keep on and just make it and just be more wiser, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't put them in stores no more.
Let me ask you this question. You've watched this hobby evolve over several decades. How has the culture changed with Discogs, online auctions? I mean, we have Facebook groups, social media. Is anything from the old days missing, or is today's generation getting something right that your generation maybe didn't? And I like this one because I think when it comes to soul, there's principles. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about OVO. I think about carrying on tradition, and for me, I always want to do it the right way. So give me a lens because you've been here from the start to the middle. You've seen everything blow up. What stands out to you when you hear this question?
You know what? Honestly, I think back in the days, to me, it was a lot calmer. Um, and collecting. As it like I said, the soul scene got more popular. The events, people love to go to a place where they see other people having fun, so they learn off that. But it's just different. It's just different from back then. It's it's like a free for all. You know what I mean? To me, it's a kind of a little mess. I mean, you got your discogs and this and that. I mean, yes, but it's tighter. It's tighter to get stuff now. It's like I said, I mean, I had friends that boom, hey, how much you want for this one? Just give me an extra 25 and take it. That's how I landed up with doubles. I got a lot of love back then. I got a lot of love. I get love now, but not like that because everybody's like protective of their stuff now because the prices are going up, and I think that's one reason why we got little thieves now. You
Yeah,
know, um, it's just, to me it's a little sketchy from back then. It was more comfortable. You know, when you could leave your windows open back then, that's the way it was back then. Now
Wow.
it's like you can't, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, even some stuff got lost in the mail, postal service that was supposed to be delivered to me.
Okay.
So it could have been, hey, they knew what it was, they took it, whatever. But it is what it is, you know. That's why there's insurance, you
It's
know.
funny that you mentioned that because I actually cut trees down in the front of my home so that I could see the mailbox from the window,
Oh,
and struck up a relationship with the mailman. And I know, so I leave. I'm not going to get. I know when there's mail in my box and when there's not, and I literally watch as if I'm expecting something every day because I don't want to sit in the mailbox. There's lots of porch thieves, things like that. But I mean, shoot, I don't even like to order records before I'm going on vacation.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh man,
exactly.
you've probably heard thousands upon thousands of soul records. What separates a good soul record from one that makes you stop everything you're doing and play it three more times?
It's that I love that deep soul horns,
Mm,
freaking. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard of. I'm pretty sure Soul Caravans.
I
They're
don't think
German.
so. No.
They're from Germany.
Okay.
Ooh. I don't know if I could give you a sample real fast, but they have nothing but horns. It's like a group of. It sounds like 20 horns, guitar, harmony. They're just, but it just all. Oh my goodness, I can't describe it. Look it up.
I will.
The name of the song is uh, just a fantasy.
Okay.
And I first when I got the album, like I said, they're from Germany. This is Germany. And when I got the album, because I thought the song was only an album, but Louis Tunes,
I never.
he found a 45, so it is on national records. So I happened to Google it to see if that's considered a reissue or whatever.
Mm,
They said no. The U.S. was allowed to press it, so national label. That's what it's under, and there was only two to 500 only pressed.
wow.
So I got that on my want list. Lucky Lou, he got that one. When he heard it, when I played it, he texted me right away. Who sings that? I gotta have it, and he got it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's some hard ones that are just like, oh damn, you got to put down the cuete for a minute, and just oh man, it just I'm telling you, I just the sound of horns and just the harmony and just oh my goodness, it's like a good fucking meal.
Yeah. Yeah. I call it the full course meal. I
Yes,
love horns. I love sometimes like it's some of these intros. I think about Dreams. I'm drawing a blank on the group that sings it, but it's called Dreams. And there's this like bass line that they play in the beginning, and then they're like Dreams. Do.
yeah,
I hear that, and that's it for me because I come from the lens of hip hop, and some of these records were sampled. And I always say this: some of the hardest records out there are rare soul records. Like
yeah,
the hardest, like you said, Drive By Gang, the hardest records. And then there's
yeah,
somebody singing Sweet on it, right? Like if you look at Payback is a Dog,
yeah,
that is a sweet song, but they're talking about revenge.
yeah,
Get ready to pull up on the ops. And
yeah,
it's those moments that capture me. I always say it's the first few seconds, or maybe there's a part where the harmony kicks in, or maybe there's a break and the horns are just so triumphant. It's like, I'm ready to go to war kind of feel. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's the energy that I feel that really moves me. And I think that when you find whatever it is that moves you, you got to keep going back to that because there's so many others out there. But you got to put the time in to find it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like some of these labels, they're not just going to come up. You got to know the label, you got to know the group, and you got to know the song. I mean, maybe if you know the group, that's fine, but sometimes the spellings are off.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's the and not the. And then the way
exactly.
that the spellings of the group name might change. You'll completely be lost if you don't know the exact spelling. And so I just love the work that it takes sometimes to come across these records. I always say, like, sometimes I might just focus on looking at records with yellow labels, maybe blue labels the next day.
Yeah.
Uh, but I kind of like use that as like a filter for my search. Anyways,
But
I loved your. Go
but
ahead.
you know what? Like you're talking about music. I always wanted to hear that song that starts off that catches me, but it was never like that with me because I never really liked the Fabulous Performers. You
Okay.
know, I didn't
Yeah.
like the way it started, and I pushed it aside all the time.
Yeah.
And I finally back. Well, it's been a while already, but I finally let it play. And a fucking bad jam. That is a bad jam. You know how it hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, terrible. But it just I expect I you see I always expect that drive by sound to kick off right away, and it's like
Yeah.
no. Sometimes they have a weird start, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
and I just gotta continue and listen, you know.
That's a really good point. And I love that you focus on that because yeah, sometimes there are these intros that just throw me off a little bit, and then you get into it and it's okay. But that's a really good point to bring up. Uh, I want to switch pace and I want to talk about something that I think that you've done fantastic. You've opened up doors to give the world, people, the community to see what actually goes on in California. Talk to me about these parties that you throw because when I see these bolos and I see everybody that's in attendance and the spinners, I'm like, forget going to a show. I want to go there. I think I've
Yeah,
told you that in the past before where it's like, man, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall, just to sit in one of the folding chairs and see all these great collectors play their sets. But
yeah,
I want you to talk about it. I want you to describe it because I don't think that people that aren't familiar with California understand it, like the
yeah.
significance about it. You talked about private parties, and that's how it maybe started out earlier. And I feel like you still kind of bring that forward. But talk to me about these events because they're really special. And to me, it's the heartbeat of California soul.
Yeah, you see, it just there's a lot, you know. I go by what I see out there, what I hear, and whatnot. So, you know, we go to all kinds of different events here and there, pay for, you know, some pay for, some are free.
Yeah.
But I always did these back then, and then since I got into the soul scene, I said, you know what, let me make something of it, backyard volo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I talked to Sappy and I said, hey, can I start doing them here? So when I started doing them at his pad, he's like, when's the next one? When's the next one? You know, because I got everybody together and I had to number one, I have to respect anybody's house that I use because I gotta respect the property and I understand that they're gonna invite their own, so I cannot keep it open. That's why I kept them private. You know, DM me and I'll give you the address.
Yeah.
But I just everybody just started coming little by little. It started just kicking out better and better, and I try to give at least somebody there to perform. You know, like
Yeah,
I
I
got
have noticed that.
C Towner. If it ain't C
Yeah.
Towner, it's Richard Q. If it ain't Richard Q, it's Ron Crowder. I
Yeah.
try to. I just wanted everybody to have a good time. You
Yeah.
know, if I have money, there's this. Oh man, I forgot the name of the program, but there's a program that had a stage and they did a bunch of R&B and you know like some late intruders stuff like that
Yeah.
and they had that revolving stage
I know what you're talking about, I think. Yeah.
and you know what I would love if I would have gotten to this scene like I'm in now back then I would have done something I would have because just to get everybody together to have a good time and I'll let them know hey I'm doing this for everybody so I don't need
Yeah.
nobody fucking up and it always turns out good. I mean, I got so many likes on just clips on TikTok, the music. Who sings it? Who sings it? And I will get back with you. You know, if I
Yeah.
don't see it that day, the next day, whatever, I will get back with you. And that's what a lot of people give me thumbs up
Yeah.
because I was told back then, never. It's always good to share because if you don't, when you're going to want to know something, you want to know something, and you're not gonna get what you want. So you got to share with people. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you something. If I play something right now, I'll tell you who sings it, what album it is. If I have an extra, I'll mail it to you.
Mm,
That's just me. But I keep it real. I keep it I keep it as a potluck. And we go as long as we can. You know,
yeah,
and that's one thing. It's like they're doing one right now. Matter of fact, Sapping them a backyard
okay,
bolo. And
yeah,
yeah, everybody loves them. Everybody loves them. So but I'm gonna start doing something different. Maybe coldies and soldies events, stuff like that. I gotta twist it up. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now because I've been ghost for a bit, and I gotta start generating something to get the people together. You
okay.
know.
I love that. No, that's
Yeah.
great. I got one more for you, and this is kind of a fun one. If you could
Ah.
spend one afternoon digging with three collectors, living or gone, who would they be and why?
Oh, of course, they got Mike and George, and you know what? I never met Sal Rodriguez. I never met him, and yeah, he'll be a good one. He'll be a good one, man. And
But
I,
why
I
those guys? Why would you pick? I mean, you might have picked three of the biggest people on the scene, in my opinion. But what is it about those three? Why?
they all have different flavors. Mike introduced me to Northern Soul. He taught me how to dance Northern Soul, and not together that way, but
Yeah,
um, but I just Mike has a lot to share, and like I said, I'm so stuck on one style that when I hear Mike, he loves Northern stuff,
yeah,
and when he plays that whatever he plays, I'm all in. I'm all in. George, I love what he does. Is he got into the funky soul?
yeah,
I could grab a little bit of that. And Sal with the rare soul, deep soul, and all that stuff. And it's like that just a mix of everything right there. You just stir it and damn,
yeah,
yeah. Everybody just has a different flavor. I mean, I love gee Nick, Latin Soul. Throw him in there too. I at first I didn't know it was a CD, and I bought stacks and I passed them out to family.
yeah.
And then after a while, I said, "Oh shit, Nick, this is Nick's." And he put that together. Everybody loved it. So yeah, everybody has a different style, and I think that chemistry just is a good start right there. Fucking of music. You know what I mean? So I like learning. That's it. I mean,
You you gotta like learning if you want to get into this
yeah.
stuff.
Because
There's
you
just
know
no
what?
way around it.
I don't know everything. I'm honest out there, everybody. I don't know. I mean, I'm just blessed that when you ask me, I have the answer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
Last one. I ask all my guests this. Share a favorite quote or mantra that you keep close to heart. Maybe it's something that you heard someone say to you from the scene. Maybe it's just something that you keep close to the heart for good times, bad times, but it's something that's top of mind for you. What would that quote be?
You know what? I always use this because, like I said, my uncle. He was not only my uncle, my friend. I used to kick back hours with him. Just music. I used to play ball what I was learning, and he loved it. But he passed away years ago, and that one song by War, All Day Music, I have a tattoo right here with him and this and that, and it's not just about war. It's just about the music. It's all day.
Yeah,
It's happening every day, every second. There's something going on, and it's like I see everybody pulsing. You know, uh, Music is my medication to this, and it just everybody has a different feel for it.
yeah.
And yeah, all day music. I always went by that because that's the way it has always been with me.
Mm,
I will start Monday and I will get home Sunday night from every event down the line. Every day I will go for years. I'll be doing that, and it's, I got tired. Jeez, but that's all it was. Just all day music, listen, enjoy, be blessed. And share and share. If you don't share, I mean, Jesus Christ, you know,
Yeah,
because you know what, you got to pass. Like I said, you got to pass it on to the next generation.
yeah,
And I know where the next generation's at. I know they can't afford those, some can't afford those dollars, but you just put it away a little longer, you get it. You get it, I
that's good
mean,
advice.
it just everything on, Rome wasn't built overnight,
That's right. Yeah,
so yeah.
I love that, man. Any last minute words for those people that are tuning in, new collectors watching, seasoned ones?
Hey, yeah, everybody, for the new batch, the new collectors, let's keep on going, keep it real, keep it together. And to my people out there, George, Sappy, Mike, everybody else, man, much love. I appreciate all the support that everybody gives me, and I didn't expect it, but I really do appreciate it.
I
You
love
know,
that, man. Thank you so much for joining me. This is an incredible conversation. I can't wait to share this with the world, and I'll make sure you get a copy as well.
hey, I thank you. I thank you.